Talking a little LSU and Vanderbilt. Now, one of the things that we haven't gotten into too much, Matthew, is the Vanderbilt defense against the LSU offense. Because we've talked about, the stars for Vanderbilt, obviously for LSU. The defense has been a star as well. Not the star position. Don't worry. Don't get upset.
It's not a position, but it's a mindset. You know that.
Sure. So let's go look at some of the Vanderbilt defense against this LSU offense. Now, real quick, before we get to Vanderbilt, LSU's offense a week ago, did you think that you saw the improvements? I know you had the turnovers on the goal line. You had the interception. You were on the 1 yard line 2 different times and didn't score. That's troublesome. We know that part. But some of the other things, did you see some growth after the bye week within the LSU offense to make you believe that it can go up from where it was?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier this week. Like you had a week to improve. You had a week to maybe potentially add some wrinkles in there. And of course, like the big thing that everybody was worried about, we were worried about, is the running game for the LSU Tigers. That was for 2 years now, been very vanilla, very bland. We have struggled in short yardage situations. The versatility is just not there. The creativity is not there. Like we said, we hadn't run a power all season. Well, this past week, you saw them trying to do things. They pulled the guard 5 times in the game.
Yeah.
Holy moly. 5 times. If you would have told me they were going to pull the guard 5 times earlier in the season, I would have said you were a liar, because it might as well be 500 times, because it's not happening. Sure, I don't think any of them were traditional powers. I think we're giving them the benefit of the doubt on a quarterback power, saying it's a power, not a counter. But it was a counter play, but so what? We're moving the line. We're pulling guards. We're pulling a tight end. We're being able to wash down one side of the running game. And then we get under center. I think the first play of the game was under center. The first running game was under the center. So they're trying to do things. They put a fullback in a short yardage situation, and the hole was there. Caden Durham missed the read. But you know what? You really haven't done it. Like reading behind a fullback is way different than just like a normal gun read. Your keys are different. You're reading different things. You gotta not only read the line, but you got to follow your fullback and read his cues. So I hope that they don't just say, well, yeah, we tried to do it. We tried to go, 12 personnel or 21 personnel or 22 personnel. We tried to run it with a fullback and some tight ends, and it just didn't work. So let's scrap that and go back to our gun inside zones with some RPOs behind it.
Yeah. I
hope they don't do that, because it's coming. It was there.
It was there. And on the broadcast, I kept saying, I was like, it's close. It's close. Keep running it. Keep running it. Don't get away from it. Yep. And then you had Juwan Johnson. He had a big run. Caden Durham started to hit like 11, 12-yard runs.
Yep.
Because in the running game, if it's not hitting in the first 7 runs, you can't get away from it, because it is a part of the game. It adds to the pace of the game, and you're leaning on the defense every time you do it. It might not hit for 30, but if it's hitting for 3 and you're doing it the right way, that 3 is going to turn into 13. That 13 is going to turn into 28. That 28 is going to turn into a 50-something yarder, right? You had your longest run of the year. And so it was good to see them continue to lean on it a little bit, because it was so close in that game. Now, this Vanderbilt run defense is good. They only give up 102.5 yards per game. That's 5th best in the SEC. Now, through the air, they give up 222.7. That's 12th in the SEC. So they give up more through the air than they do on the ground. But that does not mean that you don't try to establish a running game.
No,
like you can't allow like those stats to dictate who you are. Like you got to be yourself. And then look, if the plays show up in the passing game because you're running the football, that's what complementary offense is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's I was actually kind of surprised during my film review, for my film study this week. I was kind of surprised when you told me. I was texting the group chat about different things, different ways Vanderbilt's getting beat right now, and you were like, well, it's kind of surprising because they're one of the best running defenses in the SEC, and I was like, it's kind of shocking to me, because against Alabama kicked their tails from left to right in the running game. I mean, they were pushing the line of scrimmage, and they had committed to it. Now, I don't think they ended up with like a ton of yards. I think it was like 100 and I think their running back got over. I think Alabama's running back had over 100 yards rushing in that game. But their strength of schedule has kind of played a little part of that. Of course, they had a game against South Carolina that they did well, that they won it, but South Carolina didn't have a good running game either. So I think they benefited from that. They played – their strength of schedule hasn't – probably not the best running teams. And there's probably a talent deficit. But they played Alabama, who, of course, has a better roster from a talent perspective. And they ran the ball on them pretty well. So I would expect LSU to have the opportunities to be successful on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, we saw some improvement last week with LSU's running game. Can they continue that? It's a much better run defense that they're facing this week. But I can tell you, I don't care what the stats show, their strength of schedule is going to put them at the top of the list in the SEC just because they really haven't played much, especially in the running game. They played two big opponents. They played South Carolina. They played Alabama. Alabama kicked their tails in the running game. South Carolina stinks at running. So I think the stats are a little bit skewed there.
Yeah.
But from a secondary perspective, they do everything. We've talked about how this team is very well coached.
Yes.
They're very versatile on offense and defense. But let's stick on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to show you. I don't think they're going to. Their stats are probably very balanced in the percentages from zone to man to. They're going to run cover 1. They're going to run cover 2, 3, 4. They're going to run cover 6. They're going to run cover 8. They'll throw some zero pressures at you, and they're very sound.
What do you consider cover 8?
So quarter halves is 6. 8 quarters or halves quarter.
Okay.
So it'd be like
Me too.
It'd be like halves.
Because some people call quarter halves 8.
Yeah. So you always count from strong. So quarter halves would be you got on the strong side of the field, which is usually the wide side of the field. You got corner has 1 quarter. A safety's got a quarter of the field, and then the back side. So the weak side safety has the other half of the field. So quarter half. Now, if it's flipped, if to the wide side of the field you got the cover 2, the class, it's a much more rare coverage. You might see it a little bit more like in the red zone.
Yeah.
But you go halves, so 2 to the field, then quarters on the backside.
Yeah. I'm just making sure that we're on the same page because some people call cover 8 quarter halves because it's 4 and 2 and they just times it. I just add it. Some coaches do it differently.
Yep.
I think Jimbo was.
He used to call it quarters. Jimbo called quarter 7, especially in the red zone. He called it red 7. It was just
red
quarters.
7, yeah.
It was just quarters in the red zone.
Yeah.
And then if it's a nickel personnel, everything's got a double digit. So it's 22, 33, 44, 88.
I loved my guy Jimbo, and he taught me so much and got me ready for the NFL. But he had some foo bars. And he would always say, now this one's going to be a foo bar. I'm like, Coach, you said that 7 times in this meeting already.
Well, just make it normal bars.
It's like, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we calling this what we're calling this right now?
I know. But look, so on the second, Vanderbilt's going to be very balanced. They're going to show you all sorts of different types of coverages. So you're going to have chances at big plays. Then you're going to have times where you're just going to have to take the check down, take what's given to you. But when they do play zone, especially when they play cover 2, their safeties get so deep.
Yeah.
Every time they're safe, their safeties are coached and preached. They're getting told, do not get beat deep. But that creates opportunity. And I saw Ty Simpson for Alabama do it. I saw Lenore Sellers for South Carolina do it. Take advantage of hole shots down the sideline. Take advantage of underneath, I'm not even talking about underneath, like short routes, like dig routes. Routes, curl routes deep. Yeah. Their safeties get so deep, there's lots of opportunity. There are a lot of windows for the LSU Tigers, for the LSU receivers to get open.
All right, without cheating here, so I've got their coverage stats right in front of me. Without cheating, I know you haven't watched every game. You've watched South Carolina and Alabama. Which coverage do you think is Vanderbilt's lead coverage?
I would say most teams' lead coverage is going to be some sort of 3.
Cover 3, 35%.
Bingo.
Well done.
How much zero do they run? I'm going to say about 10%.
13. 13%, which is a big number for zero.
That's a big number for zero, yeah.
I mean,
Now,
usually see around like 6 or 7%.
Yeah, and a lot of that is you got to look at schedules as well.
True. Like they knew they could get away with it.
If you play high run teams, like Alabama, when they were they seemed like they were running every play.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were averaging 7, 8, 9 yards a run in the first half. So they probably played a little zero there. When you play a team like Charleston Southern, you get some.
I told you the Buccaneers dangerous.
It's a good year for them.
I don't know.
Hit the portal pretty hard.
pretty hard for the old Bucks.
They got thousands of NIL dollars to spend.
Yes.
Not tens, just thousands.
Yes. So it's a good point bringing up who they've played and where those teams are rushing. That probably has added to the stats because even though we are into the SEC schedule, South Carolina was dead last in rushing before they played LSU. Now LSU's dead last in South Carolina's 15th.
And they win that game 31-7 at South Carolina, which is impressive. But
yeah,
South Carolina, we're not real high on them.
That's the game Lenore Sellers went out, though, with a concussion.
Yeah, he went out with a concussion either late in the first or the second quarter.
Yeah. And look, South Carolina's not a good football team, but they're certainly not a good football team without Lenore Sellers. Like, he is all of their offense. He's the offense. Like, it's 1 versus 11.
Yep.
It's like, did you not feel like that?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah,
like
me too.
Like without Lenore Sellers, they are absolutely not good.
I agree.
Now, especially if you turn the ball over twice in the red zone, they're a little bit better.
Right. Yes.
But you don't do that, then it's 21 point.
Not just the red zone.
The 1 yard line.
1 yard line.